Let's have a round of applause for Rachel Porter.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I was going to do an intro to myself, but I feel like Rich really did that for me, so I feel like I don't need to intro myself. But thank you for joining me on my talk on creative campaigns. The idea of this talk today is kind of to address some common challenges that a lot of marketers face and ways that you might be able to implement Movable Ink easily in the same way that other clients have done. So the borrowing brilliance is all kind of around being able to take other strategies from other clients and implement them into your own. So first, a moment I know we can all relate to, and I'm sure everyone has seen this picture in a variety of different contexts. So I've used it today because I feel like it does actually illustrate this quite well. So you're the marketer, you're looking at the client examples in a Movable Ink presentation and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. And then you've got all these other things in the background being like, no, you can't, and being blockers. Hopefully today I'm going to present some things that kind of address those and make it easy for you to implement. So, is it worth it? And by it, we mean Movable Ink. So we've had this validated by Forrester in their Total Economic Impact Report, and it found on average that Movable Ink clients see a 422% return on investment, a 40% reduction in production time, and a 40% increase in revenue. And this is all down to our automated approach to personalization, which drives significant increases in KPIs such as clicks and revenue and conversions, which I'm sure everybody wants to be in that position as well. So, before I dive into these things, this is the only amount of interactivity I'm going to ask for. So please do raise your hand if any one of these statements is relevant. So from a data perspective, I don't even know what data we have. Our data is all over the place, and our data is not up to date. It's on the list of to-dos with our data team and keeps being pushed back. So hands up if any of those statements is relevant. Okay, great. Or not great. But okay, thanks. And then from a creative perspective, the creative team doesn't have time. The creative team actually doesn't even know Movable Ink. And all of our marketing creative is already final for the next 6 months. There's no way that we can update it. Anything relevant here? Cool. And then from a buy-in perspective, the leadership team doesn't have time. Our leadership team doesn't know Movable Ink. And we don't have the resources we need to grow our email or mobile marketing program. Cool. So thank you so much for that interactivity. It really helps. So thought starters for each of these challenges. So from a data perspective, start small. So I know you're going to see and you will have seen loads of really cool data activated use cases with 1 million different data points, and it looks really great, and it's just overwhelming because you're like, I don't have all of this data. But I can guarantee the majority of those clients started from a really small place and then grew that over time. So which ESP are you on? What data lives at the recipient level? Do you have first name? That's usually the key thing that a lot of people have. And make sure you're leveraging all your resources. So what other data sources do you have access to? Do you have a CDP? Which data source powers your website? Obviously, there's people that you can ask about that as well. And also your CX team are here to help you connect those dots too. But starting small is a really good place and growing from that point. From a creative perspective, so we have something called a Designing with Movable Ink in Mind session that your CX team can actually run with your creative team. I've actually done it a few times for my clients, and it usually goes down really well. And now we also have something called the Movable Ink Learning Hub, which I'm sure all of the clients that are in here are familiar with. But there are specific modules for creative teams within there, so you can actually get them assigned to those members too, so that they can start to understand the Movable Ink's efficiencies, which kind of speaks to this second part. Are they aware of the efficiencies that actually make their job easier? So it's definitely something to consider. And then from a buy-in perspective, so when is the last time that you presented Movable Ink to your executive team? Have you presented Movable Ink to your executive team? And also something that I ask a lot of my clients when they first come on board with me is, what is one project that is manual and takes up a significant amount of time and resource? Because that's something that we can help implement efficiencies into, so that you actually have more time to focus on the more cool and innovative projects. So, before I dive in, we are breaking it down into 3 phases today. So the first one is all about first impressions matter. The second is all around building and maintaining relationships. I have a feeling that I'm standing in the way of this bit. And the third is creating intentional experiences at scale. So I'm going to break them down into 3 sections and then have some creative campaigns that are associated with all of those. So, phase 1, first impressions matter. Getting to know your audience and making them feel known. So you've actually probably heard this in quite a few talks, because I've seen a few talks today where people are talking about polling. And if you're a client, then you understand what the live polling capability is. But if you don't, live polling is basically a way that you can just ask customers whatever it is that you want to ask them. So in this example, this company is asking, what's your go-to summer hue? And asking them about a few different colours. And then in this follow-up, they've got all of the different templates that are completely personalised to whatever it is that the person has answered. So that'll just be one template as a retargeted follow-up that will be churning out all these different variations. So in terms of live polling, which emails do you have that could use an engagement push? What do your new and lapsed users look like and respond to? And what are softer preferences that would be of value to ask? So when we're talking about data and starting small, if you don't know where your data is and you don't know a lot about your customers, this can be a really easy way of bridging that gap. So asking them anything that you might want to know about them to be able to retarget more personalized content without even having to touch on all of your different data sources. Getting to know your audience. So 90% of customers are willing to share their behavioral data if it results in a cheaper or easier customer experience. Customers acquired within the same time frame do not have the same needs and motivations. Speak to customers with relevance to maintain engagement long term. And then 88% of marketers say collecting zero-party data is a priority. So in these examples we've got, on the right-hand side, this is a poll. It's just a hidden poll. So where you don't have the gamification live poll, like the live voting overlaid, you're still getting that zero-party data to be able to follow up with more relevant content. And then in this example here, this is a gifting one. So it's a gifting poll where they're asking what people are shopping for gifting and then following up with some relevant content. And it doesn't stop there. So this is an example from L'Occitane. They staggered multiple polls throughout to progressively profile and support their customers throughout the Black Friday and peak period. And as you can see, it doesn't have the live percentages overlaid, but if someone was to select this, then they would get a tailored kind of follow-up piece of content here. So it just says 20% off, including fragrance, because someone selected fragrance. And I just think polling's a really good thing for peak period, because I don't know about everyone else, but a lot of the data that people will have on me and my buying behaviors are going to be completely different throughout all of the year. And then it's going to come to like Christmas and I'm not going to be interested in like what I'm usually shopping for because I'm shopping for other people. So asking people what it is that they're shopping for or who they're shopping for will give you that data so that then you can inform your content for your peak period. And then image personalization. So how are you currently using first name and email? Can guarantee there's always like the little bit of first name personalization in the text of the intro. This is actually just a really simple way of bringing that to life a little bit more. So where this will be, again, I'm standing right in the way, apologize. Stand here. So this is just an image that has been made up with a little bit of space at the top to basically overlay a bit of first name personalization. It looks to Craig like he has a completely one-to-one image that has been created specifically for him, but it's literally just using that little first name that you're using in your text in a different way. So if you have your branded font on file, then we're able to obviously overlay that, make it look really on brand, and you don't have to worry about web-safe fonts because we can overlay that. So however you want it to look, we can make it look really on brand and come to life. And then first name impressions matter. So this is one of my clients who I think are in the room, but I'm not going to look too far out because it makes me nervous. But yeah, in terms of first name impressions matter, this is actually fully personalized. So every element of this boarding pass is personalized to an individual. But again, starting small, like if you don't have all of this information, you could just do like passenger name, for instance, and then maybe push the other elements that you're wanting to push as part of like the trade-in push or something like that. But just really bringing it to life in a really creative way can do a lot. So 77% of consumers expect digital services to know who they are. and deliver relevant content. And there's a 6 times average increase in conversions by including personalization within email marketing communications. And maximising ROI by utilising an air of surprise. So I know, again, a few clients have shown different ways of doing scratch-offs. So if you aren't familiar by now, even though you probably are after today, the scratch-off is just a functionality that is a really gamifying way of presenting something and where a customer can scratch and reveal something that's hidden underneath. So on the left-hand side, we've got some special offers that are being revealed. And on the right-hand side is a really cool way of actually doing it, where it looks like you're colouring in. So there's a lot of cool ways that people have actually utilised a scratch-off. But do you need a fun way to make an announcement? This is a perfect way of doing that. You've got promotions, upcoming events, products, and holidays. We've also actually got something now called a peel to reveal, which looks like a label being peeled and reveals something underneath. So yeah, it's just something that basically creates that kind of surprise and stands out in the inbox. And phase 2, building and maintaining relationships. Again, I know some people have spoken about these. Year-end reviews. I absolutely love them. They're probably my favorite campaign. I try really hard with all of my clients to get them to do them just because I think they look really cool. And it's just a really great way of visualizing data points and really building those relationships and loyalty. It's not a hard sell. It's all around trying to show them all of the benefits and value over the course of the previous year in a really creative way. I'll stand again to the side so everyone can see all of them. But again, as I said before, you'll see all of these really cool data activated use cases where it looks like people have a million different data points. Looks really overwhelming. But again, I've seen a lot of clients start really small and start on 2 data points and then start building it up as time goes on and maybe supplementing it with some branded pieces. So again, even though it looks like people are doing loads of wonderful things with data, you can still start small and start presenting how you're bringing value to your customers. And then another one of my favorite types of campaigns, again, my clients will know that I'm trying to get everyone to do these too. So any kind of data points that you have on your customers, or if you've got high value actions that you want to kind of present to your customers, could this look good in a checklist, a progress bar, something like that? Anything that you think might make your customers more sticky. You've got an example in the top there of some high value actions for odds checker. In the bottom here, we've got checklists to complete a profile. So that's really good for the onboarding phase. Or also you've got loyalty at the top there. So making sure that you're visualizing in a really nice way how someone can get to the next level. And then it's about leveraging the repurposable visualization modules, couldn't say that, across any setting to drive home subtle personalization. So where you can make them their own kind of standalone summary, you can also drag and drop them into a variety of different places to reinforce what you want someone to do next. So again, really great way of visualizing data. And then from a data visualization perspective, so this is an example where it's recommendations of different books. And on average in an email such as this, our WYSIWYG platform reduces production times by 40% for design, email, and coding teams by enabling quick, easy generation of personalized content. So if you think about if you wanted to do all of these recommendation examples, it would probably take, it would probably be impossible. Your creative teams wouldn't want to do all of those different variations that you could have, whereas with Movable Ink, you would be able to have multiple different variations from one piece of content. And then creating intentional evergreen experiences. So content may be king, but relevance is royal. And this is where we think big picture. So what is your company and team vision for next year? What is one enhancement that would make your life easier? And how can you create an experience that is relevant at every touch? So this is an example from Amazon Music. Really just keep going back and forth here. But yeah, this is an example from Amazon Music where not only did they want to do like one-to-one level recommendations, but it was all around like content discovery and trying to get people to discover more content. And a way of doing that is that they're actually, you probably can't see it because it might be covered by this lectern or me, but they actually did personalized new release recommendations. So this was based on recipients' artist and listening data. So anything that was newly released, they were able to recommend to people. And they saw a 682% increase in clicks over the static control and a 69% increase in active playback rate. And this is a module that doesn't have to just live in their newsletter. It can be dragged and dropped across a variety of their campaigns. So again, I know this is like bigger picture, and this is kind of end goal. But again, it's like Amazon Music will have started small and then built their way up to this stage. And then making a big impact together. So these are some examples from my lovely team at Virgin Atlantic, who I can now see over there, and I wish I hadn't noticed them. So I hope that I do this well. You might have seen that they had a case study that was released not too long ago. So these are those examples. So you can actually see them in more detail online. But I just wanted to call these out a little bit. So I've been working with Virgin Atlantic for 3.5 years now, which is how long I've been at Moveable Inc. And again, they would probably also agree they started small. So they've done these really cool data-activated campaigns, but it's all started from one smaller place, and they've built on that. So this is their Black Friday email from last year. And you'll recognize it's a bit blurry actually, but you'll recognize the boarding pass at the top from the example that I showed before. And that is all fully personalized to the data that they hold on the customer. And then also they've got the countdown timer there to count down until when Black Friday sale ends. You've got these pods down here that they call them, which is live pricing of the routes that they're selling, and a little bit of social proofing, not that you can see it too much here, but they actually utilize polling in a different way to make it look like social proofing. And it did really, really well. So their upper class bookings skyrocketed by as much as 922%. They had a 285% lift in bookings and a 241% lift in revenue. And then peak season personalization. So this was a few emails that they'd crafted, and it reflected trending destinations and elevated their brand awareness. Again, as you can see, they've got the same pods here with the live pricing and the social proofing. So again, once you've kind of developed something, you can drag and drop it into a variety of different campaigns. And they had dynamic weather charts, they had forecast, and they saw a 21% lift in bookings and a 10% lift in revenue. And then a loyalty perspective. I know there's a lot of words on here, and I definitely should have cut that down. But this was the Flying Club recognition trigger, which was an email that went out to customers after their first rewards flight. And it was a personalized email that recapped their recent travel and inspired future trips. So they've got next best destination. They've got the tailored header image, which showcases the destination and cabin class that they experienced. They've got messaging that's tailored towards their points. They've got down here, they've got a reward seat checker, which actually looks at the reward seats in the next 3 months and shows them kind of a traffic light. Again, this might be covered by this lectern, so I do apologize if it is. But really tailored again, and had a 59% lift in site visits. Now I have 14 seconds to do this conclusion. So with high consumer expectations and siloed team objectives, everyone faces similar challenges. And it's one small step, so whether it's a singular data point or a live poll, it can drive a trajectory of personalization beyond that first step. Identify your bottlenecks and bring them into the conversation. And impact is supported by relevancy and intention at every touch point.